Welcome to worksheet 48. I feel like I haven't done this in a long time. It's been a little while, a couple of weeks. So we're looking at some relative clauses today. So we're just doing some practice. Like I said in class, we're just sticking with the basics for today. Some nominatives and accusatives. So all the forms for the relative pronoun that you need are right up here, right? Just the nominative and accusative forms. As I've said a few times in class already, a relative clause, basically its job is to give you more information about a particular noun in the sentence. So relative clause, adjective clause, it's sometimes known, basically just hooked on to the clause describing one of the nouns. The tricky thing about it is, since it's a clause, it's going to have a new verb. Right? So any clause, any sentence that has a relative clause, minimum two verbs. Main verb somewhere on the outside, clause verb on the inside. Because this noun can be doing two different things relative to those verbs, the case that we use for the pronoun gets a little tricky. So for instance, if you're talking about the cats, right? The cats are sleeping on the table. That's a complete sentence. Cats are the subject, easy. If you were to say the cats which I own are sleeping on the table, now you got to look at that which I own part, right? The cats which I own. That which, right, is the thing I own. I own the cats. So we would actually use an accusative form there. Whereas the cats in the main part of the sentence, because they're the subject, would be nominative. So the tricky thing is that they don't have to be the same case, right? The cats would be nominative, but the which would be accusative. So we'll see that a few times as we go through. We'll jump right in, okay? So obviously we're not drawing arrows, but we can identify this antecedent. Sometimes you got to kind of do both of these things at the same time. It's really hard to just translate and then do the pronoun, right? You can, but it's kind of good to do them both in tandem. So the senatores qui leges scripserunt. Qui is easy, right? I know qui has to be nominative. There is no other option for qui other than nominative. The question of whether or not it's singular or plural lies in who is it talking about. The senatores are masculine and plural. So really, that's my only option. Qui can only be masculine singular, masculine plural. So for our translation, since we don't have a complete sentence, we'll just say the senators who, leges is in the accusative, and my verb there is scripserunt. The senators who, keep this part not bolded, the senators who, do a little formatting here, who had, pluperfect, read the laws. The senators who had read the laws. Right? So qui is nominative because who had read the laws? The senators. They're the ones who did that verb, scripserunt. So they are the subject. Okay? The senators who had read the laws. Number two, a pons is a bridge. So it's the bridge which, I know it's going to be which because I'm talking about a bridge, I'm not talking about a person. Quem is clearly, by its ending, accusative. Pons is masculine, which is why quem is masculine. And pons is singular, which is why quem is singular. So we are talking about the bridge which, keyways, right? That's my nominative subject. That's the subject of fecerunt. Keyways being citizens. So the bridge which the citizens made or built would be fine. Citizens, excuse me. The bridge which the citizens made. Right? Quem is accusative because the citizens made the bridge. It's the thing they made. So it's the direct object. Okay. Bellatrix Now, quam, a Bellatrix is a warrior, by the way, a lady warrior. Quam, just by looking at that form, it's definitely accusative, it's definitely feminine, it's definitely singular, right? That's just knowing my endings. So the warrior, now I know it's going to be whom before I even think about translating. I know it's going to be whom because it's quam, right? It has an M on it. So really in English, if you're talking about a person, if it's nominative, you're going to say who. If it's anything else, you're going to say whom. Okay? And again, do your best with the English. If you just say who instead of whom, that's fine. The warrior, whom omnes Romani, they're the subject, whom all the Romans fear. Timent. The warrior whom all the Romans fear. Accusative because all the Romans fear her. She's the direct object of their fear. Magnae urbes, we're talking about big cities. So I know I'm going to be feminine and plural. Quae, we're going to eliminate the neuter possibilities if we go up here. So it's not neuter. It's either feminine singular or feminine plural. Since I'm talking about the cities, I know it's going to be feminine plural. So this is nominative. Has to be nominative. It's the only form that works. Nominative, feminine, plural. Okay. So the big cities, the large cities. I know I'm going to say which because I'm talking about cities. The big cities, which, since it's nominative, now I translate my verb, which are prope mare, which are near the sea. Quae is nominative because what's near the sea? The cities are near the sea. They're the subject of sunt. Okay. I see I got 4 people watching. I'm not sure if there are any current students, former students, but feel free to get in here, chime in if you want to answer one, you want to throw a translation in the chat and we can work through it. Please feel free to interact. Number 5, a donum is a gift. Gift is singular and neuter, which is why I have a form like quad. Quad can be nominative, quad can be accusative. So really here I have to think about what's going on. The verb here is recepisti. A verb with an isti on the end, that's a you form, that's past tense. So you received. No matter what else happens in your translation, you better have the words you received in there, right? So the gift which you received, if I could spell. The gift which you received. So quad here, I'm thinking it's either nominative or accusative, of course. The gift which you received, what did you receive? You received the gift. So this is accusative. Neuter and singular. What's up, Sydney? Again, Sydney, feel free to throw stuff in the chat if you'd like. You could even go a couple questions ahead if you want, just to be safe. If you want to throw some of your translations in there, be my guest. We'll work through them, okay? Number 6 is about a domus. A domus is a house. House is feminine and singular, which means that quae has to be feminine and singular. And the only option for case is nominative. Nominative, feminine, and singular. So we are talking about the house. Since it's not a person, we say which. A mea matra, by my mother, ornata est. So we have a perfect passive verb here. Ornata is to decorate. The house which, ornata est, the house which was decorated, which has been decorated, which has been decorated a mea matra, by my mother. ... The house which has been decorated by my mother. What has been decorated by my mother? The house has been decorated by my mother. And so we have a passive sentence this time. So the house is nominative because the house is the subject. Even though it's a passive sentence, what's been decorated? The house has been decorated. So we use the nominative form. Quiet in the chat today. Quiet in the chat. Okay. Number 7 is about oppida. Oppida are towns. One town is an oppidum. So many towns are oppida. This is a neuter plural. So quae has to be neuter plural because towns are neuter plural. Could be nominative, could be accusative. So in this situation, you kind of want to read the rest of the sentence. Nostri maiores, our elders. That's how they would say, like, ancestors. So they are in the nominative case. Since they're in the nominative, that means they did this verb. This verb means to found. So these are the towns which our ancestors founded. So quae, we're thinking nominative or we're thinking accusative. The cities, the towns rather, which our ancestors founded. What did our ancestors found? Our ancestors founded the towns. So this is accusative. Neuter and plural. And only one more, and then a couple verb synopses. Libri are books. Books are masculine and plural. So quos has to be masculine plural. It's clearly in the accusative case because of that ending. Right? Quos, accusative, masculine, and plural. Libri are books. So the books which, since it's accusative, there's going to be some subject in there somewhere. Proximo anno is ablative. That's not my subject. Legemus, with a mus on the end, is going to tell me who my subject is. The books which we will read, that is a future form because it's lego, legere. So that E is in place of the Bobby Boo. The books which we will read next year. It's accusative because what will we read next year? We will read the books next year. They are the thing we will read. So that makes them the direct object, accusative. That's weird. All right, so that takes care of these 8. We've got a couple verb synopses, and I know it's been a while since we've done a verb synopsis, so we'll do some more practice in these last couple weeks. But I started you off easy with a first conjugation verb, third plural and neuter. The neuter is only going to matter when we start getting to the participle kind of stuff. Okay, so third plural, they change. Mutant. I always say for these first 6, go left, right, left, right, left, right. Mutant and oh, these are long U's, aren't they? Oh, we're going to have some long marks. Mutant and mutantur. Mutabant and my typing skills rusty. Mutabantur. And since it's first conjugation, mutabunt and mutabuntur. Perfect active. Pause for effect. Pause for effect. Perfect active. We use the third principal part. So mutawerunt. If you remember those forms, it's e isti it, imus istis erunt. Pluperfect muta werant. Future perfect muta werint. I know it's been a minute since we've done a verb synopsis, so I understand if you're a little rusty on these, but it's like riding a bike, kids. Comes back to you. Perfect passive, we got to use the fourth principal part. Now we got to start thinking plural and neuter. So mutatus is going to be mutata sunt, mutata erant, and mutata erunt. And if you remember our little color coding situation, remember we had the greens up here, we had the blues, oops, wrong one. We had the blues down here, and we had, keep on doing that, and we had the purples down here. Just gotta jog your memory with the color coding. Imperatives, these are the command forms, so just chop off the RE. We get muta for the singular, and mutata for the plural. Exclamation points optional. Participles should be fresh in our brains. These should be burned in there. So we're doing neuter and plural. So we're going to have mutantia, right? Because it would be mutans, mutantis. So the plural would be mutantia. Nobody there, nobody there. Mutata for perfect passive, having been changed. Mutatura, about to change. And mutanda must be changed. And the infinitives, I know we know the active one, mutare. Hopefully you remember to make it passive, you just change the last letter. Mutari. So to change and to be changed. The active and the passive infinitives. And finally, don't mess up on this, particularly those of you who are using the Google Docs version. The synopsis is going to continue on the second page. Don't leave it blank and turn in something that I have to return to you. Okay? Erudio is fourth conjugation. So first plural and masculine, we're going to have erudimus and erudimor. Hey. All right, synopsis time. You guys are here for the ending. Erudimus, erudimor, erudiebamus, erudiebamor. And what are my future forms going to be? Let's see if I'm lagging. Whew. Thirsty day. All right. You're not playing along at home. All right. Erudiemus and erudiemor. 1 second. Okay. Perfect active. We use the third principal part. So erudivimus, erudiveramus, erudiveramus. And for perfect passive, we use the fourth principal part. Eruditi, to make it masculine and plural, eruditi sumus, eruditi eramus, eruditi erimus. Fun little English word from that. A word that only someone who is the meaning of this word would know, and that's erudite. If you are erudite, that means you are a learned, educated person, which means you might know what erudite means. Last couple boxes here. So the imperatives, we chop off the RE from the second principal part. So erudit for the singular and erudita for the plural. I'm just remembering too the etymology of this word, which is really great. Rudis means like rough or, you know, like unpolished. So erudio is to take you out of being unpolished, which I think is a nice little thought. It's like you take like a rough stone and you pull out the, you know, the finished product. And that's what it means to teach someone. To polish them up. I like that. All right, a couple participles here, masculine plural. So erudientes for masculine plural. This guy doesn't exist. This guy doesn't exist. Eruditi, perfect passive. Erudituri. And erudiendi. So teaching, taught, about to teach, must be taught. And then finally our infinitives, erudire for the active, to teach, erudiri, to be taught. And that is all we got. Anybody around for questions? Just saying hi. There were 4 people in here. I see Sydney, I see Dante, I see Maddie. The mystery 4th person. No idea who it is. I'm going to pop in Discord for a little while I cut this video. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. Otherwise, I'll see everybody tomorrow for the long day. All right, guys. See ya.